Today, I wanted to talk about a phenomenon that I have noticed in the collective, I've noticed in a lot of people's lives, and I have gained some insight about this phenomenon. And I just thought it might be helpful to share to someone to give you perspective out there and help you feel less alone in your struggles in life. This phenomenon is what I call the anti parent. The anti parent. Some people in spirituality call it a karmic parent, but to bring it down to earth, let's call it the anti parent. What is an anti parent? I think the name is quite self explanatory, where this is a parent that doesn't really know that they're a parent, let's just say that. And a lot of their efforts are to sabotage you, your child. This happens in many forms. Sometimes it could be physical abuse, it could be like super overt abuse, it could be covert abuse, very hidden, very torturous. And as a child, you just really don't know what is going on or what is happening. The reason why this is not something that is popular or a popular idea is because parents have been expected by society to fulfill a set of bare minimums. Good health for your child, shelter, clothing, food, education. Probably that's it. What else is there to meet, And society has also fabricated the idea of a nuclear family and has enforced that as the standard for the world. A nuclear family is a very relatively new concept in history and is not working very well, if you ask me. It's not designed to work very well. A child should be exposed to a lot of different perspective and different parts of life growing up. They have to be connected to a wider community to feel a full sense of wholeness. But what a nuclear family does is it isolates a family, it isolates them from a greater community. It shelters the children and sort of acts as the barrier for how large the minds can grow. It serves a purpose. So as a child, you are born into this world and you are born into this nuclear family where from all messaging that you get, all the conditioning that you get, your parents are supposed to love you. Your parents are supposed to give you the things that you need to grow and all the support that you have, and you internalize maybe not receiving those things from your parents. And it gets so bad in your life that it stunts your growth and it poisons your spirit. What I am here to offer you is another way out, where you have to understand that the problem is not your parents. They're doing their job one way or the other. The problem is the idea and the perception of how you think your parents should be. If you're lucky and you have great parents that are loving and supportive and doing all that they can, you're one of the few. Most of the world have parents that are very toxic and are out to destroy their own children. And sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. It could be completely unconscious with how they go about trying to ruin their children's lives. The phenomenon of the anti-parent. This is an important thing to understand and know because it fosters two kinds of wounds that run our world today: the father wound and the mother wound. The mother wound is when you do not get full mothering, for lack of a better word, from your mother. When you don't get the nourishment, you don't get the support, the love, you don't get the consideration and the compassion that a mother should provide, it festers a mother wound. Sometimes this can go unnoticed for a very long time in your life until you get to old enough to understand how this has impacted you. I have seen a lot of people that understand the impact of their mother wounds well into their 50s and their 60s, and they're like, oh wow, all my life I thought this was my personality, but no, this was me reacting to something that I had no cause in. Many people are in the situations where their mothers are not able to provide that mothering for them. For example, if your mom was a drug addict and she was just incapable because she was trying to work through a lot of her own trauma that she fell into addiction, and she couldn't help support you through your childhood, that can brew a lot of resentment, and that resentment can be channeled into your female friendships, where you see every female as unstable because you have taken some of your mother's unstable traits and now you project that into the world, and that can taint how you see the world and how you receive love from people that are trying to love you. That is an outcome of the mother wound, and there are millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of outcomes from having a mother wound. and depending on how deep it is, because some mothers understand their power and they actually dig. They dig for blood. Like if they want to hurt you as your child, they will go for the jugular. And then there is a father wound. The father wound is probably the most popular wound that we see today and how it manifests, especially in Black men. The father wound is fostered by an absent father. And for the longest time, I thought that the absent father meant the father was not in the house. Maybe the father was living his life out. But the absent father is the father that was emotionally absent. That is what does the most damage. The father could be fully present every single day, conversations are happening, but if the father is emotionally absent, which is not always a conscious thing, say he's numbing himself to his own pain and traumas that he hasn't even looked at, let alone processed and worked through, you as a child can feel that emotional disconnection, and that fosters a lot of pain and resentment, and you don't even know that is happening. Where you feel like you've been abandoned. A lot of men grow up today not having the full presence of their father, and there is a lack of development there in how they approach the world, how they approach relationships or their jobs or women. There's a fatherless man trope that is popular on the internet, fatherless behavior, where you can tell someone is fatherless by how they behave. It's a thing. These are things that happen when you are in conjunction with an anti-parent, parents that isn't fulfilling their duties to you. Because what you have to do to get out of that mindset is to understand that your parents do not owe you shit. That might be hard to hear because they brought you here, yeah. Your parents did not bring you here. The universe brought you here. Your parents are also victims to the universe, just like you, but your parents do not owe you shit. Like, if they do the bare minimum, you're lucky. If they didn't, well, take up your beef with God. You have to understand deeply within your soul that your parents do not owe you shit. Because once you understand that, you can now understand that you also don't owe them shit. You don't owe any parents anything. You don't owe them nothing. There is a lot of freedom that can come when you understand that your parents were only vessels to bring you to this planet. They are not supposed to parent you. And in most cases, you can do that yourself. You've done it before in many lifetimes. The attachments to the idea of what a parent should be is what has harmed us. It's not our parents. But at the same vein, we have to learn the signs of an anti-parent and take actions effectively to address it. Once you become an adult, first step is to become independent as fast and as soon as you can. That should be your one goal, your one mission, and your one priority is to be independent. Yes, the economy is bad. Find a freaking way to be independent financially as quick as possible. You need to become independent as soon as possible. And this is even if you have good parents, like your parents are amazing and your parents are so accommodating. Once you hit 21, your parents are gonna switch up on you. In the house, they're gonna switch up on you. They're gonna abuse you in there, mentally and emotionally, one way or the other. Covertly, sometimes you might not even know that you're being abused and drained. Because at the end of the day, your parents are not angels. Your parents are human beings. And human beings get exhausted from taking care of another human being. People get tired. And if your parents are there, they're giving it their all and they're doing their best, and you should love them for that. But your job is to get independence as soon as possible, as soon as you can. And by independence, I don't really mean a job. I don't mean get a job. I mean be independent, like be able to take care of yourself independently and go about that however will be the best way for you. And once you become independent, you have to understand yourself. You have to learn yourself, understand yourself as a human being, who you are, what your traits are, what your quirks are, what your flaws are, what makes you amazing. Understand those things about yourself and understand what you want your life to be, and learn to put yourself first. Once it comes to a dynamic where you are in the midst of anti-parents, parents that are actively physically, spiritually, financially, or emotionally sabotaging you as your child, be it with neglect, with absence, with abandonment, with cruelty, with humiliation, with sadism, with narcissism, you have to be brave enough to look the truth in the eye and address it because it could save your life. Learning how to set boundaries will come very handy, but boundaries can never happen if you're not independent. If you're still depending on mommy and daddy for A or B, you cannot set boundaries with mommy and daddy when they try to take out their anger on you in any shape that they feel is worthy because you're the closest person to them. There are a lot of human beings in this world, and not every human being is a good person or is a ball of light. A lot of humans are not like that. A lot of humans are dark people, and sometimes we are blind to how our own parents can be the devils in our lives. We can be blind to that. If the devil is the master of illusion, the master of lies and deceit, don't you think he'll be smart enough to put your parents as your number one op and sabotage you from the jump? That is exactly what is happening in this world today. And I am spreading this because I know a lot of people have been rejected by their families and have been sort of humiliated publicly in one shape or another, or been scapegoated by their families. A lot of people have gone through that and are still struggling to understand why all of that happened or how they can move on from that level of abuse and that level of misunderstanding for who they are. And the gift here is you've had it all wrong. They were not supposed to do anything that you expect them to do for you. You are not supposed to do anything for them. All the things that you did, you were never expected to do any of those things for them. The misunderstanding that you have, yeah, they're supposed to misunderstand you because how else would you understand yourself? Yeah, they're supposed to give you a tough time in life with giving you generational trauma and different issues to deal with now, because how else would you know how strong you are? How else would you know? Everything serves its purpose, but it's also your job to take care of yourself and protect yourself from anybody in your life that could cause you harm. The notion of an anti-parent is very real, and they're parents that do not have your best interests at heart. And if you have one of such parents, I want you to know that you're not alone. The universe has your back. The universe is protecting you. The universe is your parent now. And you might be physically alone, but if you need a representation of that universal parent in your life, ask for it. And the universe will send someone to you. I promise you that. I just hope you're open enough to receive that love that you need. Just because you don't receive love from your parents doesn't mean the love cannot find you in other ways. Trust me, I've gone through my own journey and I found love in that I never thought I would find it. Most times your parents could be picture perfect, nothing is wrong, everybody adores them and they look like the perfect family, but you just don't feel the love, don't you? You don't feel the contentment, you don't feel the safety, you don't feel the togetherness. It's because it's not there. A lot of people are good at performing, and life is a performance in many ways, but you deserve to feel safe on this earth. And just know that I see you and I'm sending you all the love that you need. My name is True, and this is African Boy Bible. Take care.